Now, the first two steps to set up your very own website is firstly to get web hosting and then to register your domain name. Now, web hosting will really allow you to store your website online so that people can access it all over the world. And your domain name will be, for example, your companyname.com, and that's your web address so people really know where to access your site. So there are plenty of places where you can complete these two steps, but I would recommend BlueHost.com. They are the company that I use personally. They've never let me down. And also, I've organized a pretty cool discount for you guys if you want to check it out. The link is in the description. You get a free domain, which will save you about $15. And then you can also get a 60% discount on your web hosting. So in the first year, you'll probably have saved $75 if you click the link in the description. But you can feel free to use any web host you want. The steps that I'm going to walk through in this video are pretty much going to be exactly the same. So either click on the link and you're going to come to a page like this, and then you can click Get Started Now. And then we need to select our web hosting plan. And there are a couple of options here, but I think for most people, you're just going to select the basic plan. That's $2.95 per month with the discount. And that means you can host one website online. Now, the only other option you might be considering is the Plus plan. So for a little bit more, you can have unlimited websites and host them. And why would you want to do that? Well, maybe if you're thinking of setting up a couple of websites, or maybe even you're creating websites and managing them for people, then this is a very affordable plan to select. But I think for most people, you're just going to want to be selecting the basic plan. And I do want to explain a little bit further now, why do you even need web hosting in the first place? If you've never set up a website, it's a bit of an alien concept because we just post stuff to Facebook, YouTube for free. And actually, those companies absorb that hosting cost themselves. They have to pay for data centers with servers on them. And so unfortunately, they won't pay for it when it's our own site, and that's why we have to pay for it. Essentially, we're buying here a little bit of space on a server in a database somewhere, and that's why we pay when we set up our own website, and we never pay when we upload to YouTube, etc., because they really cover the cost. So I think people find that explanation helpful, and so now that you understand why you need hosting, I think, and you know the plan to select, let's go ahead and select this basic plan here. Now, here comes the exciting part. We need to get our free domain. And so what you really want to do is think about your business name and type it in here. So in terms of picking a domain name, I would try and keep it as short as possible, less than 20 characters. You want it to be something that rolls off the tongue easily. So if you said it in conversation, they would remember that that was your web address. And it's more important to have a domain name that is brandable and memorable rather than a domain name that has loads of your keywords in them, because actually having keywords in your domain name is not going to really help you rank in the search engines. It might give a clue about what your business is about, so try and include them if you can, but don't have like 10 keywords stuck together. People are never going to remember that. They're never going to type that in, so you want to keep it as short as possible. So if you're creating a new domain, you can type it in here, or you also have this option if you've bought a domain previously to go ahead and sign up. So I'm going to just put in WP, so WordPress setup demo. And then we get to select our domain ending. You can see now it's on .co.uk. And I would try and get the .com if you can, if it's available. That's what people remember the most. It seems like the most trustworthy. They don't have to think about what's the domain ending. But there are other options out there. You can see them here. .org is very popular for charities. .co is becoming more popular as well for startups and new companies. But for now, I'm just going to buy the .com and then click Next. So now we need to go and fill out our account information. So I'm just going to take a couple of moments to fill this all out. So once you've filled out your account information, then you just want to review your package information. And you can see by default here, there will probably be a couple of options selected by default. So I'll just explain what each of these options are, and then you can decide whether you want to leave them enabled or not. So the first one is domain privacy protection. So what is this about? Well, the reason you might want to keep this is because there is a site called whois.com, and I'll just put it in an example site here, growthstars.com, and on this site people can find out the phone number and the email that you would have put in when you registered your domain name. Now, a lot of people don't want that information public. You might get a couple of random emails or maybe even a phone call. So some people select this domain privacy protection option so they don't get that. Now, personally, I don't mind if I get a random email, so I can save myself really $1 just by doing that. Now, Site Backup Pro, this is an option maybe you should leave enabled. Essentially what this will do will back up your site, especially if you have a big site with a lot of content on it. You may be changing content, you may be editing the code, something like that, something breaks, and you need to get your backup version so that you can get your site back up and running. For this demo site that I'm setting up, I'm not going to select that, but I think that is a good option for a lot of people. Now, site security, again, there's more information there. I'm going to show you a couple things to do to secure your site, so you don't need that option. Then, once you're ready, all you need to do is type in your payment information, which I'm going to take a minute to do now. Okay, I've typed in my payment information there, and then you just want to select I've read the terms and agreements and click submit. Okay, so great, our purchase was successful and a confirmation has been sent to our email address. And before we can log in, as it says here, we need to create a password. Next step then is just to go ahead and insert a secure password, and it'll give you an indication of how strong that is. So I would recommend you try and make that strong so your site stays secure. And then you can just say I've read the terms and agreements and click next. So they'll give us the option here to pick a theme. What I will actually do is just skip this step. Okay, we're all done. Now I am getting a notification here that they will update my domain automatically as soon as it's ready. So that's good to know. You might see a similar notification, and then we can just go ahead and click start building. So here we are now in the back end of our brand new website. And if you want to take a look at what it looks like, just come up to welcome, come up to visit site, and we can see that this is what our site is really looking like now. It's pretty basic so far, not a lot of content on it, but we're going to be making this really look incredible and adding content to it. But that really wraps up the first steps to setting up your site, registering the domain name, getting hosting, and installing WordPress.